a group of religious leaders and professionals has established a movement which they will use to contest the upcoming local government elections and later the general polls. But they maintain that theirs is not a traditional political party about politics. But joining us now to explain the position of the Independent Citizens Movement, which was launched this week in Kempton Park, Johannesburg, is chairperson of the movement, Mr. Joe Mojapelo. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Explain to us then, you say that this is not a conventional political party, that it is not all about politics. What is it then about, specifically considering that you will be contesting the local government elections that are coming up?
Yes, good afternoon to you and your viewers. Yes, of course, ICM is not a political party. It's a movement of leaders and leaders who already exist among their communities. You know, we're looking at ethical, honest people that are already occupying the space within their communities. I mean, we strongly advocate for the fact that leaders cannot emerge because there's elections. You've got to have something to show that you've been doing already amongst your communities. And that's why in our identification of candidates, we will look for people who are already doing something in their communities. And our partnership with them is intended at magnifying the good work that they are already doing. And you know, you cannot magnify that which does not exist. So that's why we're saying, you know, this is not about politics. It's about community needs. Because after you have, you know, engaged in all this politicking and the rhetorics that goes with it, people on the ground are still hungry. People on the ground are still unemployed. So we're really not interested in politics. We're interested in solutions that will change the people, you know, the people's lives for the better.
So how then have you organized yourself for these elections? Are you going as independent candidates? Are you going as the party? What is your structure going to be like on the ballot box?
Yes, I think for lack of a better way, I mean, obviously, anyone that has to contest elections have to find an expression on the ballot paper. And for us to find that expression on the ballot paper, we have to register with IEC. And the most people would refer to us as a party. We refer to ourselves as an organization, in fact, a movement, you know, of communities. So we registered with the IEC, you know, an organization called Independent Citizens Movement, which is the platform that we are going to use for the independent candidates that we have identified as leaders among their communities, as honest and ethical people, to use that platform as independent candidates who will sign an independent candidates compact with us and use the platform to stand. So our platform on the ballot paper is going to be Independent Citizens Movement, ICM, whilst we also respect the independence of our independent candidates.
If your members or your affiliates, as you put them, are going to be independent candidates, but under your umbrella as the ICM, what ties them to you? Do you, as the ICM, have a mandate, certain prescripts and policies that I guess an average political party would have, that the independent candidate then who is associated to you has to abide by? How much freedom do they have in, I guess, self-governing?
Yes, correct. We have a constitution and they have to abide by our constitution. But over and above that, they sign a compact with us. And we indicated that we want to allow them, in fact, we encourage for their independence because no two wards are the same. And we encourage them to organize themselves in such a manner that is responsive to the dynamics of their own wards. And we want to allow them the freedom to the extent that they do not violate our constitution and they do not violate the compact that we have signed with them, which is really not stringent. It's about what they say they are, you know, as selfless leaders, people who care about the community and raise the standards, you know, be creative amongst your communities to deal with the societal ills, find solutions because we believe that communities, they themselves will have to liberate themselves. They've got the power to do that. And we want to create an enabling environment and provide support for them. These people are already doing wonders in their wards.
You, Mr. Mojapelo, come from the institutions. You understand local government. You were the chief operations officer in the city of Ekurhuleni. How is your involvement in a movement such as this one going to differ from your political past?
I think that's a good question, and we get that a lot. This is not about an individual. And the reason why we put this, it's a systemic issue. It's a system. No individual is bigger than an organization or a system. And we believe that the system needs to be changed. And that's why we brought together all the expertise and all the people, because one person cannot bring about the change that is required. And we believe that for the change that we are desiring and the change that we are looking for, a system that is dysfunctional must come to an end.
Talk to us about some of the independent candidates that you are associated with.
Oh, we've got quite excellent, candidates, like I have said, to say all of them in their, respective position, they're doing some wonders in the communities they live in. We've got, we did indicate that we've got quite a large number of
we seem to be losing you there, Mr. Mojapelo, but we certainly do hope that we do get you back so we can continue and conclude our conversation. But perhaps let me be more direct with this one question. I do see that one of the candidates is Reverend Mathebula of Hope Restoration Ministries. Tell us more about him, why he was approached, if he was approached, or if you approached him to be part of ICM, why he is the man who is going to be your mayoral candidate for Ekurhuleni.
Most definitely. We approached him. He's not a candidate. Okay, he's a mayoral candidate. We pondered as the executive around who should be our mayoral candidate. And we looked at the same prerequisites that we had for the ward candidates. Someone who's already occupying the space, who is eloquent and charismatic, the one who's got a proven track record. Because we're not looking for people, because we're not prepared to lie on behalf of any of the candidates. We believe that your actions should speak, for themselves. So Pastor Mathebula, everyone that has been following him, they understand his preachings. And if you've been following his preachings for the last 2-3 odd years, because that's, I attend his church. If you follow his preachings, we even told him that your preachings is actually what inspired us to stand up and occupy the space and do something. So he has been preaching for what we are doing. So we actually following his preachings. And besides that, the work that he's been doing all along is the work that we want to expand, because he's been doing good work within the area of the Hope Restoration Ministry and the surrounding areas of Tembisa. And we are saying this good work is necessary for the entire Ekurhuleni, if not the whole country, because he's exemplary in his conduct and his actions. So it was a no-brainer, really, for the executive to come to the conclusion of Pastor Mathebula. And we are honored that he accepted.
And any other pastors that will be representing or standing for any of the wards?
Yes, we do. We had a workshop now where pastors, doing what they do best, praying for him. And I mean, on the stage praying for him, I could count about 20 pastors that are part of the ward candidates.
Let me, Mr. Mojapelo, just go to some of the tweets that we have. We did pose the question asking, how South Africans would feel about voting for pastors and professionals as opposed to professional politicians. Would they vote for such? And here are some of the responses that you have given in. We've got Ms. Matapelo Nyembe, who says, yes, I would vote for them, especially if they are biblically sound. Another tweet comes from Mr. Sada Naidu, who says, it's all about making a deliberate difference in communities and in the lives of our people. If their hearts are into meeting and serving the needs of our people, they possess moral authority and God wills it. Then well and good motives and intentions will determine their success. Another tweet coming through from Lawrence at Big Guy, who says, I don't know, says Tammy. I've never been in favor of men of God becoming politicians. For me, it compromises them in so many ways. Praying for peace and canvassing for votes are two things that don't mix. Never mind what follows after that. Another one from Ronnie says, yes, I would, and I hope that their core will be ethics, integrity, and good governance, and not only on white paper, but in implementation. I just hope they don't take advantage of current revelations around the globe, but genuinely care about the people. And the final one is from Zulu Tolo, saying, never. Those charlatans have proven themselves several times as evil devil worshippers. And she cites, or he cites, Omotosho and Bushiri, and some rising unemployed tele-evangelists who sold their souls to Lucifer for a quick buck. As you can hear, there are several schools of thought about this. One of them is one that was put forward by Lawrence, saying that religion and politics don't mix, and that their message then on the pulpit would be compromised. Canvassing for votes is different from preaching. What is your response to those type of sentiments that some may have?
This is not about politics, and that's why we've clarified. This is about leadership. Pastors are leaders in their own right. They lead us every Sundays, and we are saying church or morality can be a matter of Sundays. And we advocate to say, take church out to the people. People need hope. And most of the people go to churches on Sunday, they suffer during the week, you know, under the leadership of or unethical leadership. So pastors are leaders, but we are mindful of the fact that, you know, the religious institution itself, we know the challenges. It's also trouble. That's why we are not saying by virtue that you are a pastor, you are honest and you are holy. We're not saying that. We are saying pastors should be representing morality, at least as a first step. And we will look into them and make sure that they have a character, the same character that we are looking for from all other candidates. This is not about pastors. I've seen even the newspaper article saying professionals forming, you know, a relationship with pastors. This was never about pastors. It just happened that when we were recruiting the type of people who were looking for, we attracted mostly pastors. And it's not surprising because we said we are looking for ethical leaders that are already in their communities. And pastors should be representing them. As to whether they do it or not, that's a discussion for another day. Because we know that there are many other pastors that are misrepresenting the truth.
And what about the skills of actual governance at a local level?
The skills of governance, you've indicated some of us are experts in governance and in local government. Our approach is different. It's something fresh, something new. These people are going to be appointed in their wards. They are community leaders. When it comes to governance, in our PR list, we've got a list of professionals. That's what the profession with expertise. To say you will not head up a health department when you don't come from a health background. Because these are the basics. So we've got professionals with experience who we are deploying into government. And we want to strengthen the wards and the communities because they need to organize themselves. Our manifesto is we are taking power back to the people. But are the people ready to use this power? Are they empowered? Do they have the expertise? So we're going to help them to organize themselves.
Mr. Mojapelo, in which wards will you be contesting, and what is the bigger vision for the ICM?
We are contesting all the 112 wards of Ekurhuleni. We've got a candidate in every single ward of Ekurhuleni. And our vision is not to make it onto the ballot paper, but to make it into office. So we want an opportunity to govern the city so that we take the power that we promised the electorate back to the communities, so that they use that power to transform their lives.
Mr. Joe Mojapelo, Chairman of the Independent Citizens Movement, we thank you for your time this afternoon. This is part of our coverage as we head up for the local government elections on the 1st of November. And a reminder again that voter registration weekend is this very weekend, both on Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. Also a reminder that various Home Affairs offices will be available and will be open to help facilitate identity documents specifically for the purposes of voter registration and voting.